Se bella tu sedore, je notre soccofore, je notre citavore, je la tu la ti la toi.
We're listening to the Nonsense Song from Charlie Chaplin's 1936 film Modern Times.
La spinach au la bouchon, cigarette portobello.
Those familiar with Simone Weil may wonder what this slapstick comedian is doing here, since both her work and her life are steeped in self-sacrifice and moral seriousness. But Weil liked Chaplin's work. In one of her published letters from 1936, she urged, "If you are in Paris, don't miss the new Chaplin film." Let's back up so we can understand why.
Weil was born in 1909 in France, in Paris, to parents Bernard and Selma Weil, who were agnostic, secular Jewish people living in France. Her father was a physician.
Cynthia Wallace is an English professor at St. Thomas More College at the University of Saskatchewan, and author of the new book, The Literary Afterlives of Simone Weil.
Her parents were very bourgeois, but they were also really committed to a life of the mind. And so they raised Simone and her brother Andre with a great deal of education.
Andre Weil was a math prodigy, and he would become a world-renowned mathematician.
She and her brother were very close.
George Abbott White edited the book Simone Weil, Interpretations of a Life. He had the chance to talk with Andre Weil at Princeton.
He's telling the stories about how they would screw around on the subway and have, just really have fun. They would make up languages as they're going along, and then they would say things in this made-up language. And, it's Paris, right? People are like, what is this?
But Simone was equally committed to her studies.
She went on to gain a degree of education that was unusual for women at the time.
She earned the equivalent of a master's degree in philosophy, and then followed one of the few paths available to her, teaching philosophy at girls' schools. But Weil had always wanted to do more.
From a very early age, Simone Weil had just a strong ethical drive. She was really interested in people who had less than she did and in caring for those people.
As kids, she and her brother donated their sugar ration to soldiers during World War I, and later she showed a deep interest in the plight of the working class. She went to fight for the Loyalists in the Spanish Civil War and became active in labor unions in France. Eventually, she went on leave from her teaching jobs to do factory work herself.
It was about learning with her body what was happening among the people that she wanted to write political philosophy about. And so it was grueling for her to attempt, but it was also dehumanizing labor for everyone. And that was one of her primary realizations during the time.
This is where Charlie Chaplin makes his appearance.
Section 5, give it a limit.
It's the famous scene from Modern Times where he gets swallowed up by a factory machine, down the assembly line and then winding his way through the literal cogs of the machine, that spoke to Weil's experience. She described that scene as, quote, the most perfect and truest symbol of the worker's position in the factory. As the Great Depression gave way to the Second World War, Weil was forced to flee Nazi-occupied Paris, going to New York with her family.
But she was keenly committed to getting back to France or to Europe and being part of the war effort. And so she spent about the last year of her life in London contributing to the Free French effort, mostly by writing documents.
In London, Weil became very sick.
While she was in hospital with tuberculosis, the only treatment for TB at the time was rest and kind of hypernutrition. And she refused that out of solidarity with those who were in other parts of the war suffering more than she was.
Simone Weil died in London in 1943, just 34 years old. Wallace thinks Weil's life carries important lessons for our own time.
She has a kind of tragic vision of the world that I think we kind of need right now. We need people to tell the truth about everything that's wrong.
And, Wallace says, we also need people who are as committed as Weil was to the idea that we can do something to make it better. For Philosophy Talk, I'm Cheryl Kaskowitz.